In the thick of talking about the ongoing Writers Guild strike that is effective as of yesterday at midnight, Dom's in the middle of sort of contextualizing that. I just want to briefly chime in and say one thing regarding the '07 strike, which I do remember pretty vividly. That went on for, I think, from November '07 to February of '08. Is that correct?
Exactly 100 days.
Exactly 100 days. I remember that for some reason. Um, and I watched a video essay on this a couple of months ago. Actually, it wasn't real directly related to the strike, but it was about it's about an idea or a concept called channel drift, and that was really one of the causes or the end results that came of the '07 writers strike. Networks during the time when the writers went on strike, what is that, 13 years ago or 16 years ago actually, when that happened, it resulted in what is currently the modern cable TV landscape as we know it, which is very reality TV dominated. A lot of networks like Bravo, which used to be predominantly an opera network and predominantly like a highbrow entertainment network, that became the home of The Real Housewives, RuPaul's Drag Race. It's the same thing with History Channel, which used to be the source of World War II documentaries, Nam documentaries, and such. That became the Pawn Stars, American Pickers Network.
Ancient
Regardless of what,
aliens.
Ancient Aliens. Whether or not you like these shows is kind of irrelevant.
Aliens.
But the point of the matter is though, it really led the '07 writers strike, because it went on for as long as it did, really led in some ways to the degradation of television in a lot of ways, and the massive investments that were made into these reality TV shows. Because think about it, when did Jersey Shore become popular?
Yeah.
'08, '09, right afterwards, because it was far cheaper to produce those types of shows. They didn't need writers. They just needed a handful of producers, a much smaller crew. You had a lot of guerrilla style videography. It didn't have to be completely polished. And it was also reality TV. It's not like it was a new concept introduced in '07, but the reality TV up until that point, outside of Fear Factor and, Jerry Springer again, as we brought that up, but like, it was game show driven. It was Survivor. It was Amazing Race. There was still an element of production value behind these things. And then the writer's strike happened, and the networks had to come up with stuff to fill things. And that's what greenlit a lot of these cheap ass reality shows that led to sort of the degradation of cable television, as well as the concept I just outlined of channel drift, which you see now. There's a ton of networks. You see it now. That's why I swear half these networks now, if you have cable, I'm always reminded when I go back home, because my dad's got direct TV. You scroll through cable, it's a shitload of syndicated networks. It's a ton of All in the Family and Cheers and Full House reruns. Every network has like the exact same oldies lineup. It's insane. And if it's not that, it's some reality TV. I just wanted to contextualize that part about the end result, because I feel like that's just kind of been lost to history, and people forget that coincided right up the time of the '07 strike.
It affected a lot of episodic TV, including, I think, Breaking Bad. Whereas, but like any other any show during that time that was in the middle of their storylines, or like in the middle of like in between seasons, like severely affected by it. And all those shows, you can almost have a big asterisk being like, "Hey, this was during the '07 strike," so take note of that during while reading the plot line. And it really is astounding. Also, the line that people are drawing on social media now is that, yeah, be careful about this new strike, because during the first strike, it kind of saved The Apprentice, and kind of further launched the host of that show, I forget his name, to bigger stardom, and made him a little more relevant and gave him a little more reach. So be careful who we're affecting in this.
We're gonna launch somebody from Shark Tank into the presidency now.
Yeah, Mark Cuban.
Better be Cuban.
At least he can talk. But anyway, I think we want to move on to the biggest, the juiciest, the scariest one here, which is artificial intelligence. And yeah, let's go to how the WGA tried to negotiate this. So, Joe, if you could go to that very boring but very, very, very important table. So on the left here, you see the guild's offer, which is to regulate use of artificial intelligence on MBA. Again, that is minimum Business agreement. Nope, that's minimum. Uh, Something agreement. I had it. Minimum basic agreement. There you go. Minimum basic agreement covered projects. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, can't be used as source material, and MBA covered material can't be used to train AI. Now, how the hell are you going to regulate out of that? I don't know, but that's what they were trying to push. The AMPTP, the studios, the big wigs, they countered by just rejecting the proposal, and they countered by offering annual meetings to discuss advancements in technology. Okay, so nothing. Just for the record, that means nothing. And that's not the first time the WGA kind of wrote spicy interpretation of how the studios wanted to handle this thing, because yeah, the chat GPT thing, the AI thing, all of that, it is taking off so exponentially fast. That is the part that all these AI stories for the past century, more or less, have been fearing, is that whether it's physical, manual, literal robots moving boxes or chat GPT or whatever, it does happen exponentially, faster than the blink of an eye when you really zoom out. And, clearly that is just a flat out rejection of that, because the studios know that. I'm going full pundit now for the record. They know that they can exploit it, and they know that they can full-fledged do it, and then they can hide it, at least not without some kind of contractual obligation that could be monitored by the Fed, or the Labor Relations Board. But yeah, it is very, very, very scary. And this is the big thing over the horizon, that it's honestly almost kind of stunning that it's, actually, not really, that they put it at the bottom, because they were like, okay, we have to make sure that everyone knows that there's other stuff first before we get to the AI part. But this is something that, whatever is or isn't agreed upon in this during this strike, will have drastic effects for decades to come. Because remember, the last strike happened 15 years ago. 15 years ago. And in 2007, they were just getting to DVD residuals. In 2007. So if they don't get on this AI shit now, it's do or die. And I'm honestly not surprised that they went to strike over this. Everything else, like, oh yeah, that's a pretty decent reason. AI, that is existential for writers, particularly those who are guild writers. And yeah, man, there's plenty of other sources and other things you can read up on why that is the case. But just know, or rather how that will make them obsolete potentially. But as for the why they're striking, it's not surprising.
Joe, any thoughts to add?
Listen, man, that 07, 08 period, yeah, Dom was kind of hinting at like how much it kind of sucked in terms of entertainment and what it did to entertainment overall. Don't get me wrong, I love my trash reality TV, but I also do love my House of Dragons, my Cobra Kai, my anything script-based original programming, stuff like that. And it really sucks knowing we have somebody who is basically running, I think, one of the best streaming platforms, and also probably influencing a lot of scripted-based television original programming, both for HBO and now, soon to be, just Max. It really sucks that, like, there's a strike going on right now, and it should be going on because these writers deserve more, and they deserve to have their jobs secure that Dom's talked about. But I don't want to see this guy really take full advantage and not only just further push the idea of reality TV onto streaming services, but just really try to like really just kind of like popularize it to where, man, like, what if that just I'm not gonna say that's gonna become the future, but like that might become a good chunk of streaming services now. We saw what happened in 07, 08. A lot of networks got reality TV shows, a ton of stuff, and a lot of them blew up and got several spinoffs. You had your Jersey Shore, well, now you have Alabama Shore. It's just like you have the Desperate Wives of New Jersey. Well, now you have the Desperate Wives of like Tampa, Florida, all that stuff. That's all it's just gonna take is for this strike to happen, and Zaslav, anybody on Netflix, whatever, they make 20 million spin-offs of like their popular reality TV show that they were running throughout the pandemic that kind of blew up during that time, and now they're like, well, we don't really have any time, we don't have any like production going on, we need to get something out, so let's just like order like 2 more versions of that. That's my biggest worry, along with the AI stuff, because even at work I've been getting emails from like about Chat GPT 3.5 and 4 and how much it could do for your business and local government and stuff, and I'm just like, that's not cool. Not that my job is really in jeopardy. My job includes a bunch of other stuff other than writing, but that's one aspect to my job that I don't want to lose. It really sucks knowing there is a potential in this future where it's like, if that AI stuff doesn't get worked out, the whole creative side, the whole human creative side of art is just gone. And who knows if we'll ever see it as much as we do today, or even at all. You might have someone like, God, I can't remember who wrote Yellowstone and Sicario and all that stuff. He's one of my favorite writers.
I know what you're talking about.
Taylor Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan. Thank you. I almost said Taylor Kish. But Taylor Sheridan, like, I'm sure
John Mars. What was it? John Carter of Mars.
John Carter of Mars. Like, he writes. He's basically an AI of a human, along with Tyler Perry. Man, I mean, like, they're cranking out shows like left and right, and maybe they'll be fine and still have their craft. But a lot of those shows that Dom listed at the start, I like those shows, and those shows are nothing without the writers' touch to them. Cobra Kai only works because the writers know how to sell that whole 80s sports movie thing and poke fun out of it, but also make it its own thing. I don't think an AI can do that. An AI to me would make like the meme versions of like Avengers, whatever the next Avengers movie is called, King Dynasty and stuff, where it's just like, just AI generated versions of that movie where it's like you have Wolverine show up and he just says iconic line and then goes off and does something and whatnot. And it's just like, yeah, like Steve said, you can have somebody be like, okay, let's just go through real quick and touch this up so it makes it sound like, someone actually really wrote this. And it's taking out the biggest part, which is, the human creative side of it, actually having a mind behind it. James Gunn just finished Superman Legacy, the script, before all this went down and everything. So production of that is on its way. But he has said he is in full support of all the writers to go on strike and hold off on the new DCU, because he doesn't care. He knows what's right in that position. And who's to know? And again, we have someone like Zaslav who's going to be kind of overseeing that department and everything. Who knows what his say is going to be in it? He's like, okay, well, we need this DC universe out now, so get an AI to do it or something. I don't know.
And the stars have completely aligned too to make Zaslav the perfect
exactly.
villain, too.
That's the whole thing. The entire time,
deservedly.
That's the entire time this writer strike has been going on, and it's talked about like IGN has a great article too. By the way, that was the one I was reading earlier today, where it really breaks down what shows, what movies, what studios are being affected by this, and what it means in down the line. And they bring up Zaslav in their article and how much this is actually like a perfect opportunity to what he was saying about we're keeping movies on the big screen and TV should only just be reality shows and a few original based programming. It's
lean back content,
dude. Yeah, it's the worst time for him to be in charge of HBO right now and just Warner Bros in general. Any other CEO, I would have been like, we're fine with HBO, we'll be good. But him, it's like, shit, this guy's gonna get the total wrong idea from the strike and not actually listen to anybody.
Make no mistake, the first 5 to 10 years of these bigwigs trying to force AI to spit out scripts is going to be hilarious. It's going to be funny just to see it all flounder.
Yeah.
But after that, once these things learn, which it's going to be a lot faster than that.
Yeah.
It is very scary.
It
is genuinely scary. I might even say, if I may be so bold, and I try not to hyperbolize, but what the guild is doing here could be the forefront. They are like the front lines of this whole fight against AI, not just in entertainment, but how it is approached and regulated overall. Joe, if you could switch to that tweet thread of tweets that they put out here, and it's funny that they put it like the official line on Twitter. This was like at the top of their link tree too, and I won't read the whole thing, but at the top it says, the WGA's proposal to regulate use of material produced using artificial intelligence or similar technologies ensures the companies can't use AI to undermine writers' working standards, including compensation, residuals, separated rights, and credits. And if you could scroll down there to the second to last one,
important thing to highlight.
Yeah, second one, last one, and the last one itself. If it's been fed both copyright protected material and public domain content, it cannot distinguish between the two. Its output is not eligible for copyright protection, nor can an AI software program sign a certificate of authorship. And here's the punchline. To the contrary, plagiarism is a feature of the AI process.
There it is.
Plagiarism is a feature of the AI process. That line right there, and a human wrote that. It is that it pretty much sums up this whole angle to it. Because remember, don't forget, there is like pensions and health and minimums and like writing room regulations and all that stuff involved with this strike. But in this aspect, the scary one, the super sexy but also super scary one here, the AI thing, that is the heart of the argument, and why I make that claim. That this strike is the absolute front line, the opening shots of the fight between human labor fighting back against corporate AI hogwash. And I hope that's how it's framed, because it sounds like hyperbole, but I don't think it is. It's getting there.